Hey, David.Wood here, and welcome to my Extra Mile. Today's show is a solo show. It's quite short. This concept, though, if you can grasp it, if you can internalize it, if you can practice it and bring it into your life, it can radically change every area of your life, and it's going to help you build greater confidence. It's going to help you have greater certainty. It's going to help you navigate anything life can throw at you. So enjoy the show. We'll definitely see you on the other side. And please don't forget, subscribe, hit the like button, and get involved with the conversation. Please, leave a comment. Tell me what you're into. Tell me what questions you have. Tell me what you want me to work on for you. And I really thank you for being a part of this community. And we'll see you on the other side. I'm just driving to the golf course, so I thought, I would do a solo show as I drive. It's a beautiful drive through the mountains. Although today, we've got a lot of smoke here. You can see it probably through the windows or through the roof. Up from California, there's apparently a lot of fires down there. So we do have an inversion, which means that we've got the smoke trapped in the valley here. But with that being said, it won't change the fact that I can share a concept with you that I'm really, I'll say it as a quote, and then you can we'll explore different ways to utilize the quote, because that's what I believe. One of the things that I'm truly, it pushes me a lot away from social media, I suppose, is this proliferation of people just posting quotes and everyone's telling people how to live, and this the personal development thing. And even though that is kind of the business I'm in, I much prefer when people share stories or share a quote and how they bring it to life. And that's what I will attempt to do right now, is to share that. The quote is this, and it's when I take 100% responsibility for everything in my life and everything not in my life, there's nothing left. There's no one left to blame. So when I take 100% responsibility for everything in my life and everything not in my life, there's no one left to blame. And this is the most empowering quote once you live it, because when I take 100% responsibility for everything in my life, which includes the shitty bits and the bad bits, and the empty bank account, or the maxed out credit cards, or the rolling belly over your pants, over your belt, all these things. When I take 100% responsibility, it means that there's no one left to blame. It means that you don't live in a world as a victim. You take responsibility for all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. And once we take responsibility for the things that aren't going well, then we have the ability to do something about it. That even in that moment of recognition, yeah, I'm responsible for this, because it's easy to blame the government, it's easy to blame the economy, it's easy, but in every situation there's models and there's people around us who are modeling contrary to what's going on in your life. So if things aren't going well, like, let's say fitness, there's thousands of people around you who are demonstrating and living a fit, healthy life and have the kind of body that you want. But, unless we take responsibility for it and say, yeah, this is what I'm going to create. Now, I understand if there is some kind of, like my mother has a thyroid issue, which means that she's challenged a little bit with putting on weight, but she has to treat her body and be responsible for the fact that because of the thyroid, she has to take certain precautions or eat smaller portions or, exercise in a different way, all these different things. So that's one element of the take the responsibility part. The second element, which I really love, is, when we take responsibility, for example, I'll give you an example. I had an urgent and very important call with a very successful, a very wealthy, and a very powerful individual. And and anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a big sleeper anyway, but for some reason I overslept. And I can hear the lies in my head. I mean, I can hear them, even though I profess And I hope it's true that I tell the truth all the time with compassion. Look at the trees. You can see the fall is coming. You see the change in the color here? Wow. I profess to be an honest person. And yet, because I woke up late and missed the call, I could hear myself searching for the excuses. And I was this internal battle, because we're so accustomed to little white lies and to justification. There's three real elements of victim conversations: blame, justify, and complain. And I could hear myself if I just said, "Hey, listen, I had a challenge with the kids," or there was some problem with the car. I can make up any excuse, but I heard my brain looking for these excuses, and in the end, when I phoned this person, sorry about that, my phone rang and I had forgot to put it on airplane mode. And it's interesting because I got a little frustrated. It was my assistant calling me, and it's like immediately here I am teaching about take responsibility. And of course, there's a great example. That's how life is, right? Is I take responsibility because I didn't put it on airplane mode instead of being frustrated with Denise for calling me, and she didn't know, even though we had chatted about me doing this recording on the way to the golf course. Anyway, so getting back to the story there, I could hear the lies in my head, and I said, "Hey, never guess what?" And she said, "What?" I said, "I overslept." And we laughed, and that was it. Energy, done. Absolute truth, took responsibility for it. Another way to take responsibility, which I love, and this is something which is very hard to do actually, but you just got to be unattached to being right, because you can be right, you can be rich, you can be right, you can be healthy, but if you want to be right, you got to live in a world where, you're always in this world of resistance or struggle. I don't feel like I need to be right. I think and I learned this from Egypt. When I was traveling, when I first started backpacking, I traveled through Tunisia, then I went to Egypt. And in Egypt, when I studied the pharaohs believed that there were multiple answers for every question. So, they didn't have to be, and it was a really interesting thing for a young man of my age, I was only 20, 21, was to think, there could be, there's not one clear-cut answer. People have different perspectives, and it really made me think about that, to think, well, if I'm talking to someone, they don't have to be wrong in order for me to be right, and I don't have to be wrong in order for them to be right. I can accept that, we may have differing opinions, and that's okay, right? So that was it. So, the other responsibility part, which I really love, is stopping this kind of thing. Let's say you're looking for someone to blame for something, and instead of that, I could just say, "Oh, my bad. So, someone's like, "Oh, I wonder who it was." No, my bad. And I take responsibility for it, just to stop the energy, stop the waste of time of trying to figure out who was wrong or figure out what went wrong. It's like, it's already done. Does it really matter? Now, if you were saying, "Hey, let's analyze it and look at ways we can improve next time," that's a different energy, which is like feedback. And feedback's critical if you want to improve, than looking for, what's wrong. I'm just going up a hill, so my phone just is right. Yeah. Looking for someone to blame, or looking for why, without a solution. So I'm giving you multiple ways, but the empowering part for me is when I take 100% responsibility for everything in my life, everything not in my life. There's the other element, which I love, is the celebration. Most people don't celebrate their wins. And, so when I look at my home, I look at my lifestyle, I look at my ability to do things, I take responsibility for that too. It wasn't by chance. I've navigated my life to be successful, and, I feel very blessed. I'm very grateful and very, very fortunate for these things, but I take responsibility for them. Yeah, I created this, right? It wasn't by chance. It wasn't by accident. And that's a good thing internally. It's not about you still stay humble, but you can still celebrate the wins. And some of you right now, you're looking in the mirror and not loving what you see, and not thinking. And I used to do an exercise where I would have, and you may even want to do this, is write down things that you could celebrate for your life, things that you've done. and some of you really struggle with this, and I've done this with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, where they just have to sit down and look at accomplishments in their life that they could celebrate, like, wow, and I got women there sometimes who will be like, I can't think of anything. I mean, how crazy is that? And I'll say, well, do you have kids? You mean you've birthed 3 children and you can't think of anything to celebrate? But that's the mind. The mind will be, oh yeah, because it's in comparison, comparing yourself to other people, right? It's impossible sometimes to celebrate our wins. And when we celebrate our wins, when we take responsibility for our wins, it doesn't matter how small they are, we build momentum to move into the next thing. We celebrate, instead of comparing, your start to someone else's middle, and then feeling bad about what you're doing. It's celebrating whatever it was, that small step, and really celebrating it, and realizing that as we celebrate and take responsibility for the good stuff, right? Not just the bad stuff. We want to take responsibility for the bad, but when we take responsibility for the good, it feeds our soul and it allows us to move forward with more energy and more passion, and builds on, confidence. And when we have confidence, we're confident. When we're confident, we become magnetic. We attract more of what we want, right? So the simple philosophy, and the homework I've always given my students is attempt, 90 days, you're not allowed to complain, blame, or justify. So in other words, if I was late for a call, I can't say, oh yeah, the alarm didn't go off. See, that's a justification, right? Or a blaming the alarm. Whereas the responsibility is, I didn't set the alarm properly. And in fact, I've recently missed a flight. I was going to Greece, and you may have seen that on my social media, Instagram, davidtswood. But I tell the story about me, missing the flight to Greece because I almost gone, buddy. Oh, thank you. See that? I shouldn't be doing this, right? Recording and driving. But anyway, so but it'd be so easy to say, oh yeah, the alarm didn't go off. But the better way was, hey, yeah, I didn't set the alarm properly, and it was taking 100% responsibility, and that makes me responsible. And because of that responsibility, again, I become, it's almost invincible, because everything stops here. It's not like this victim world where I'm blaming everything and everybody and whatever. Like the weather right now, we got this smoke in the valley, and a lot of people I can hear them grumbling. Oh my God, I can't believe it. The smoke. I mean, we live in the most gorgeous place on earth. And I think that there's people down in California right now who are losing their homes, or there's a fire, they've been evacuated. And here we are, we're putting up with a little bit of the smoke, and it's stuck here, and it's been here for a week. But the grumbling part of it is like blaming the smoke because of we can't enjoy today. And I'm saying today is a freaking amazing, beautiful, wonderful day, and I get to enjoy every single piece of it with the smoke. I take responsibility for that. My attitude towards the smoke is I'm responsible how I behave around this. Do I grumble? Am I pissed off? Do I limit myself? And let's say I couldn't go outside, which obviously I'm going outside. But if I had a lung issue, then guess what? I'd find something more beautiful to do inside. Maybe I'd cook a new recipe or whatever, and I would use a time where I'm forced from the outside to the inside. So again, I'm getting off topic a little bit here. So I'm going to say it one more time. When I take 100% responsibility for everything in my life and everything not in my life, there's no one left to blame. And we're at the golf course right now. And it's empowering. It's vibrant. It gives me control. I'm no longer a pinball or a ball in a pinball machine getting bounced around by these external feelings. I know that whatever happens, I'm going to be able to navigate with elegance and just accept it and flow with it instead of resisting against it. Remember, resistance always equals pain. What I resist always persists.